This is a recap for Thursday, September 23rd. So the notes that we took in class today on Cami were about adding fractions with unlike denominators. So we started, here I'll zoom in where we started. We started with 1/10 plus 7/10. And if you really think about the 1 as how many of something and the 10th as what it is, it's a 10th, then it's a little easier to think about adding fractions. 1 of something plus 7 of something is 8 of something. So if we think of this fraction of 8/10 as I have 8 of the things called 1/10. And that might be a little easier to remember how to add fractions. We drew a picture of 1/10 plus 8/10, or 7/10, excuse me, and then we can see that we can combine those together to 8/10. So adding fractions with like denominators is just like adding anything else, just you combine them together. Now, some fractions are unlike. So for example, I can't subtract 1 from 2 because they're different sizes. It would be like subtracting 2 nickels from 1/4 and saying I have, or 1/4 from 2 nickels to say I can't do that, 2 minus 1. They're different values. So I have to find a common value. And to do that, what we do is we make multiples. So 3, 6, 9, 12. And then 4, 8, 12. So we highlighted the first multiple that is in both lists, the least common multiple, the one that's in both lists and the smallest one. And that's what we're going to convert the fractions to. So it's just like converting money from quarters to nickels, or nickels to pennies, or any other denomination. So even that word denomination, that like the size of money, uses like the word denominator. So we're going to change 2/3 to 12ths, so that's 8/12. And notice how it's the fourth one in the list in the multiples right here. So let me grab this pen, and notice how this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And this is the third one, 1, 2, 3, and that's what we multiply. So sometimes students don't know where we get that 3. It is the third multiple. So then we have to multiply the numerator by 3. And a picture of that might look like something like this. If I had, let's do the fourths. So if I did fourths, and I said, well, I'm going to have 12ths instead. Well, let me highlight one of these. Let's highlight just one of these. I'll use a different color here. There we go. Okay, so notice how much is highlighted. Now, if I decided that I'm going to multiply each of these by 3, it's going to look like this, right? So now I have 12 altogether, like this. And notice how what was highlighted was also multiplied by 3. Just this part right here was also multiplied by 3. That's this part right here. So there's 3 12ths. So we can subtract now 3 from 8 and get 5 12ths. And then we worked on IXL F5, and it's called a least common denominator. That's right here. On IXL F5, they call it a least common denominator. That's the same as the first number that comes up in both lists. The least common multiple is also the least common denominator. And let's see, what else did we do? Oh, these are just some problems that came up that students asked me for help with on IXL, and so I did some of those. So it's kind of scratch paper, but But I do want to do one that somebody asked me second period, and so I'm going to put it back up here again, and I'm just going to use eighths. I think it was fourths, eighths, and elevenths. Actually, I took a screenshot, so let's go to the screenshot because I want to make sure I get it right. So screenshot. Oh, here it is. And I want to finish this thought that I kind of interrupted and didn't really finish. We had 1/12, 3/8, and 1/11. So I'm going to do that right now. 1/12, 3/8, and 1/11. That came up on iExcel. So let's go back here. Go like this. Or actually, we could just do this. Since we're on a screencast, I can just have a whole page. All right. So let's do (1/12), 3/8, and 1/11. And the method that I'm going to use is prime factorization, because this would be a long list. If I had to do this, if I had to do 12, 24, 36, 48, and then 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and then 11, 22, 33. That would just be a really long list to go until there was a number that came up in not just two of the list, but all three of the list. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do the prime factorization of 8 and 12 and 11. So this is 2 times 2 times 2, and this is 2 times 2 times 3, and this one's just 11. So if we were to multiply them all together, we'd have some duplicates. It would work. We could add all these together with whatever that number is, but we can find a smaller number. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to consider that if it's in 2 or even 3 of the list, we're only going to multiply it once. So we're going to use those once, we're going to use those factors once, and then multiply by whatever else is left over. So we're going to do 2, that's this one, times 2, that's this one, times 2, that's this one, times 3, that's this one, times 11, that's this one. So now we've accounted for everything. But we've kind of basically divided out 4, like 2 times 2. So if we multiply these all together, if we did 8 times 12, and we got 96, and then we multiplied that by 11, which would be, let's see, I think it's, well, let's just do this times 11 real quick. 11, 6, 9, 6, 9, 6, 15, 1056. So that would be 4 times too big. It would work. We could use it, but there's a smaller number that we can find. And it is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8 times 3 times 11. So that's 24 times 11, and that is 264. So 264 also works. And we know that 12 goes into it, 8 goes into it, and 11 goes into it. (264) divided by 8 is 33. It's interesting right there, 3 times 3, 264 divided by 12 is 21. Oh, 22. And the reason I knew 21 didn't make sense, I paused there for a second, 22, because 21 was not in the factor. I can see the 22, it's right there, 2 times 11. And let's see, what do we have left? 264 divided by 11 goes in there twice, 22, 44, so 24. Okay, that's the rest of this, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. All right, so the least common multiple for these three right here is 264. We can eliminate some of the factors that are shared. And that is a recap for Thursday, September 23rd.